Hi, everybody. This is Onika Patrick Redhead. And today I have Michelle Ashmore and Samantha Charles. Welcome, Sam and Michelle, to Cassava Talk. So Michelle and I have known each other for 29 years. We met each other at secondary school when we were 12 years old in Trinidad and Tobago. And Sam and I met each other a year and a half ago at a Leadership Academy program. Sam, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, so I am Sam. I am 39 years old. I originally come from Tottenham in London, where I was first generation. Both my parents came from St. Lucia. Grew up in London most of my life until I met my husband and a military man.
Oh.
And I moved out of my comfort of London and moved into the countryside where I still reside. So I've moved a number of places, very remote places across the country, had lots of different experiences in those places. Currently I live in Hampshire, and my husband's left the army now, and I've got one daughter who is 10 years old.
Oh, that's lovely. So Michelle, although I know about you, can you tell the audience about you?
Well, okay, I'll see what I can censor. I'm Michelle Ashmore, and like Nikki said, originally from Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad more specifically, moved over to the UK about 20 odd years ago. Weird, I realized, because I obviously look like a child, so I came very young. And I've been living in London for about 10 years and moved to Sheffield, 10 years ago or thereabouts. I've got one daughter, that's enough. And yeah, that's about it. Just living life.
Yeah. So I didn't say that I have 3 children, and my husband and I, we both came from Trinidad around 18 years ago. But like I said, I've known Michelle for 29 years, so we've always had this connection. And when I met Sam, we had a connection.
Yeah.
And every time we've spoken, well, Michelle and I over the years, we've always talked about our children, how we're raising our children, how do we navigate racism within raising our children in the UK. And Sam and I have had a couple of conversations around that as well. So I wanted to bring us together just to talk it through and see how we land. We're going to be honest. We're going to talk about how we've felt. And I know that I married a Trinidadian and how different it is raising British young children.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to go to you, Sam. How do you parent your child? But more so, what is it like being a Black woman parenting a Black child?
That's a really tough question, because the everyday situation of it is no different, I feel, to any other parent. But I feel that, especially for me, living outside of London, especially in the areas that I've lived, I've had to really tailor the way I've raised my daughter to make sure that she keeps her identity.
Yeah.
My husband is St. Lucian. He was born and grew up in St. Lucia, so he's very much a Caribbean man, whereas I have both. I lived in St. Lucia for a small period as a child, so I have experience kind of living in the Caribbean and living in London. And for us, it's all about making sure that she knows her identity, being proud of who she is, but also preparing her for those things that in life that are going to be unfair, that treatment that she's going to get, and recognizing that she needs to learn how to handle and deal with those situations. It's always difficult to have those conversations with her, but she's used to them now, because we've had those conversations with her since she was small, talking about little things, even to do with her hair, just being proud of her hair, being, not allowing anybody to touch her hair without permission, not feeling like she needs to have a certain type of hair, just making sure that she's comfortable with all aspects of her. and I really try to drum that home with her. And she's a really confident young lady, so I feel like we're on the right path.
Oh, that's amazing. So has she never had issues thinking about her hair, or is it because you've instilled in her to be proud about her hair that she's never said anything about it?
I think she's still discovering her hair. I think at 10, she's still trying to figure out what it's all about. She's still
Yeah.
learning about it. So she's I mean, we've always just told her that she's beautiful and her hair's beautiful, and we've told her, you know, some children in your class have European hair and their hair is nice and straight and long,
Yeah.
and there's some children who, with this being a military school she goes to, there's quite a mix of different cultures. So
Yeah.
she has lots of friends from Fiji who have like afro hair, but their hair is curly and long.
Yeah.
So she's got lots of friends of different hair types, and along with lots of black friends as well. And it's always just saying, you know, everybody's different, everyone's got different hair types, and yours isn't wrong, theirs isn't wrong, yours isn't right, theirs isn't right. It's just
Yeah.
about embracing what you have and being proud of it.
Oh, I love that. So Michelle, I'm going to turn it to you. And I know we've had loads of discussions, but could you share how you parent Lexi, and what, more than how you parent her, when she comes to you with questions around her hair, what are things you say, or does she? Does she?
I'm glad Sam mentioned that, because that was a really big part of talking to Alexi about and sort of dealing with a lot of her day-to-day struggles, because I'm mixed, she's mixed. My husband is white. So although she's really pale, she's like Weldon Flash. She's like super pale Sam, seriously. But she's got like a huge mass of long curly hair. It's like Diana Ross style. It's out hair. It's like massive. And when you're really young, it's very difficult to manage curly hair. It's difficult to manage if you're little and it's like waist length, because it's not just like European hair. You can't just put a brush through it. You can't just like put it up in a ponytail. It needs brushing out, it needs product, it needs different things. So we can't, for example, just go to Boots and buy products for her hair. So she knows, and she has known from very young, that we have to go to the black hair shop in the market or wherever there is one to get, things for her and I individually. So she always has known and felt that difference, because we cannot just go to, like I said, any kind of high street store and get something for us. So we've always had conversations about it. Luckily, she's a bit older now, so she can now manage her hair. I would literally say in the last 6 months, she started doing it because she can figure it out, she can manage it, she can plait it. And she's like, wow, it's opened up an entirely new world for her. In terms of parenting, I am sure she would say, it's not great, because we are different. My husband is British, and being born and raised in the Caribbean, because I came here when I was in my early 20s. So being born and raised and had all my formative years in the Caribbean, life is different. Like, it is very seen, not heard, just like fall in line, essentially. It's a lot more restrictive in terms of what you can and can't say. Into everything is backchat, as you very well know.
Yeah.
So that's why she's like, I was literally just answering you. I'm like, nope, backchat. That is backchat. That is just rude. So she, like, everything is rude. But we are getting through it. We work through it, because she is aware that I am a different kind of parent to her friends. So things that her friends could get away with, she cannot get away with. And she knows that. And she feels that. So it's always really, it has always been really difficult to parent that way, because she doesn't have any other friends who have first generation Caribbean parents, so she doesn't know anybody else that kind of has the same restrictions she has. So, Mom, so I have about 15 questions before you even finish that. Can you just ask me what in with, where we going, what time, what is your name? I want like a full long laundry list. And she already knows, and she's just like, oh, for God's sake, I literally just want to go down the road. Like, I don't care. So it's really difficult having to have these conversations constantly when she is the only one that is having to have these conversations. And just trying to explain to her a little bit why, and just why I parent differently, and sort of explaining our culture and our history and why it's different. My husband is a lot more laid back. So in terms of our parenting style, it's at odd ends. So, it's like sometimes quite difficult to navigate with her because she just doesn't understand. I can't just chill. I'm like, first of all, I'm just not naturally a chilled person anyway. So, poor child. I just feel sorry for her.
Oh my God. So I think I could relate to both of you guys in terms of how we parent our children. What's different for my husband and I is that we both come from Trinidad. So poor children. Because what I've noticed over the years is that there are a lot of culture clashes. And I think that's what Lexi and Naira and Andrew, Angelique, and Eliza will experience, culture clashes. And rightly, like Michelle says, if they want to go, my son is 20 and I still have a laundry list of questions that I need to ask. I still need to know where is down the road, because in the Caribbean, down the road could mean anywhere.
Literally anyway.
Could mean anywhere.
No, serious, it's just down the road. Half an hour later. What?
We're only going for a car drive. So yeah, it's one of those really, and I wouldn't say difficult. I mean, yes, it is probably difficult because I don't have my mother, I don't have my aunts, I don't have my grandmother to help me navigate this. Remember, it takes a village to raise a child. That's one of our favorite lines when Michelle and I talk, because when we grew up, everybody had a say so.
Yeah.
And I think even now, my mom, my sisters will still call and they will tell me, so you didn't tell them this, you didn't tell them that. And they don't understand that because we live in the UK, it's a different culture. And I need to be able to navigate how I treat them, how they experience me being as a parent, and how they experience outside, because they will have this strict environment in this house and then go out and see their friends doing something totally different and don't understand why they can't just have a normal life. And
that is exactly it. A normal life.
Yeah.
And of course they're so dramatic with it. And very much like you said, Nikki, in that when we were home, everybody was in the same boat. So everybody knows they have to get the same questions from their parents. They are in the same situation. Whereas up here, she might be living in little Trinidad in her house.
Yeah.
But as soon as she go outside, she's like, what even is this? What is wrong with this woman? So yeah, completely what you said.
What about you, Sam?
I mean, it's the whole village. It takes a village. I definitely feel that not being with my family. I definitely feel the loss of not having people supporting me in that sense, because then I don't have anybody to fall back on. It's tough when you're raising children on your own, and I only have one. And obviously it's me and my husband, but then in terms of the culture, I am bang in the middle, because my mum was an extremely strict West Indian parent. My dad was a little bit more we were his little girls, so he was a little bit more forgiving, but my mum was a strict West Indian parent. So but I was born and bred over here, so my values are very much British, like British Caribbean kind of values. So I'm definitely bang in the middle when it comes to the culture, and even I'm fighting with myself sometimes about what the right thing to do is. The West Indian side saying, oh, you should do this, and the British side saying, oh, you're trying to reason with them, you're trying to get to understand them, you're trying to do all that stuff that they're encouraging over here. And it's a real battle.
That is completely true, Sam. I think especially when you doubt yourself, because you genuinely don't know sometimes if you're making the right decision. And because you don't have people around you, every decision I make, I think, is this going to send it to therapy? Okay, I don't know. Like, I genuinely have to ask myself in my head, where is this going? How far are you taking this?
It's so true. You do everything. It's either I'm always thinking, am I going to get arrested for this? Am I going to send them for therapy? Because it's like everything is abuse now. Like you say the wrong thing, you're being abusive. You know, you look at them the wrong way, you're being abusive.
Honestly, she knows the number to Childline off by heart. What's wrong with this?
That makes it so difficult for you to parent. I think, especially from a West Indian culture.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not condoning, you know, abuse of any kind, but you know, but you used to get, you know, we used to get shouted at, we used to get smacked, we used to get, you know, beats every now and again.
Yeah.
And I didn't see, like, it didn't, to me, it didn't do us any harm. At the time it hurt, yeah, but you learnt lessons from it. And I understand that some people will take it too far, and there's a fine line between what's abuse and what isn't abuse. But I just feel like we're losing control a little bit, you know, when we're not allowed to parent our children properly. And that's really tough when you're from a background where you're used to having that sort of control in the sense that you are definitely taking that responsibility of being the person responsible for that child 100% of the time.
Yeah.
So you need to know where they're going. You need to be responsible, make sure they're doing the things that they need to do. And I think some of those liberties have been taken away from us as parents over here, and it's telling. You can tell from things that are happening.
It's so telling. I was also thinking about the differences between raising boys and girls, and really, like you were saying earlier, Sam, speaking into them love and you are brilliant, you are beautiful, you are. So I remember when my eldest daughter, Angelique, she was 5 years old, and she came home saying, "Mummy, when am I going to have hair like Madison?" And Madison was her best friend. She had long black hair. She was white. And I remember saying to her, not very well thought through, I remember saying to her, "Well, you're not white, Angelique." To a 5-year-old. "You're not white, Angelique. I'm sorry, you're not going to have hair like Madison." So I didn't feel like I really articulated it that well. I mean, I don't think she got it, because years later, she still had a problem with her hair being her hair. Whereas my 6-year-old, when she asked, she didn't even have to ask questions actually about her hair, because I'm like, "Your hair is beautiful." I'll stand in the mirror with her. I'll tell her about her hair. I'll buy books about her hair. So I could definitely, I've learned to speak positively to them all the time. Now they know they're beautiful. Now you tell them you're beautiful and they're like, "I know," right? Going with my son now, it's a little bit more reserved, where I could tell him as much as I want how great he is. It sounds a bit weird to him. He'll just like be uncomfortable. He'll be like, "What's your angle, Mom?" Like, but I do think it's important, especially in this time, to uplift him as a man, because it's so much difficult for our Black men. It really is. And I see it with my husband. I see it with my son. People automatically think that they are aggressive just by speaking, just by the way they dress, just by the way they look. All they have to do is walk into a room and there's this idea of what they think this Black boy or this Black man is. So, how do you, I mean, I suppose I'll ask Sam first. How does your husband feel? How has he mentioned anything?
I mean, my husband was in the army, and you've got to learn how to have some thick skin in the army, because there's no holds barred in terms of the things that they will say in a circle of kind of friends, where you're kind of sitting around a room and having a few drinks or something like that. It can get very un-PC, and I had to learn how to develop a very, very thick skin, because I started to realize I could get offended by every single thing I was hearing, or I could learn how to let it go, because I wasn't going to be able to, me saying something wasn't going to change the way they were going to behave. And that first I found that really difficult. But for him, he learned how to take it on the back, and he's very resilient in terms of those things now. And I think being in the army has made him resilient to being able to, he comes back. If you've got something to say to him, he'll come back straight away with something. And I think he learnt that defense mechanism in the army because he had to grow thick skin and he had to give as good as he got.